Hello and welcome to Intoxicated Masculinity, where we talk about New Year's culture, Christmas culture, and other types of holiday culture. Joining me as always is Brandon.
Hello, my people.
Kale.
Hi.
And Jim.
Hello, everybody.
A look behind the curtain. We are recording these a little bit early because it's the holiday season and we don't want to work during the holiday season because who does? So we're just going to do kind of a little brief episode here and talk about kind of personal things or professional things or global things, whatever we feel like, and just kind of talk about a few things that we hope to see in the coming year. This is going to be coming out on January 1st. I mean, assuming we haven't blown up the world or anything by then, which I think we can make it till then at least. So I think we're going to start off with Kale. What kind of things are you looking forward to in the new year? And we're looking, this could be, professional, personal, just, whatever.
Well, I just kind of gathered my thoughts here, and beyond the personal stuff of, like trying to lose weight and stuff like that, bigger picture things, I would like to see people embrace automation more, and see where technology can take us. That's more big picture. More personal, but still big picture. At my own personal employment, I feel kind of started a little bit of a movement, and in light of some other places that have started to have employees come together, and we've seen some of what happens when things go unchecked and unregulated, and you have to realize as a worker that you and your fellow workers need to come together to try and change this, because nobody's going to do it for you. I really think that we're going to make some impacts on the way we do things where we work, and I hope that spreads. I hope that fire spreads through this whole country.
Well, now I feel like an asshole if I just mentioned that I want to see the new Marvel movies. No, I agree too. And, we've seen, there's a lot more going on. I mean, we had the Heaven Hill workers down in Kentucky. They successfully struck. I'm not sure what the proper verbiage is for that.
I don't know.
They went on strike and were successful in their strike. Brandon, do we know where the John Deere workers, were they successful, or is that still ongoing?
Yeah, they were successful.
That's good.
It was a compromise. They didn't get everything I wanted, but.
And then we had a Starbucks that unionized, which was good.
I was just reading that some stores for Taco Bell are thinking of going on strike. I would highly recommend checking out either the IWW website or the IWW subreddit. They're an international global union, and they have a lot of good resources on everything from starting a union to finding a union that's already started. You can join the IWW for almost nothing,
But on a more social level too. I mean, when you're making these connections with your coworkers, but it's not just because you're coworkers; it's because you're human beings, and you're realizing that. And people need to interact. Like, there's a lot of disconnectivity in the world now, and this isn't something that I usually preach about, because I'm a major promoter of staring at your phone or staring at a screen or something like that, and not really engaging with other human beings around you. And I realize that you're losing something by not doing that. You need to connect with other people.
No, I think that's true. It's interesting, as we become more connected sort of digitally, I think sometimes there's a tendency to disconnect physically and sort of locally. And that is a mistake, because, the Starbucks thing, I mean, that was a local thing, just local Starbucks workers that they were able to do that. And so sometimes we definitely should look up from our phones and at least see that there are human beings around us that, do the same thing we do, and maybe we should talk to them. I mean, not too much, don't get me wrong.
I feel like most big movements start with grassroots. That's where it starts. The little stuff, the little things, small, little local, city, county, state issues, personal issues. I mean, that's why laws and policies and regulations and stuff like that happen, is because people have experienced this and they want to help other people around them not have to suffer. And the best thing you can do in this life is to help other people not suffer.
Maybe I'll send you a link to it tomorrow. There's an audio recording on YouTube of a book called Mutual Aid. It's not the old Kropotkin one. It's written by a newer anarchist. I think it's only a few years old. It's really good.
On the other hand, though, asking the working masses, the poor, or whatever you want to call them, ourselves, to help the other people in your class is one thing. Yes, of course you want to do that, but there are other people that are far more responsible, that could do way more, way easier. I mean, I'm not going to say like snap of the fingers, but I mean, much more powerful people, much more wealthy people that could make things a lot easier for the people who are doing all the real work for them.
I agree. I wish I had more in-depth way of saying I agree, but yeah, it's the idea of getting connected up with your fellow workers, fellow human beings. It's a good thing. And don't yell at each other on Twitter so much, even if you really want to. Jim, what have you got? What are you thinking?
So I actually am feeling healthier than I have in a while. I've really changed my diet over the last year. Had some health issues, and I'm hoping to go hiking someplace interesting like Colorado. I always like going out to Colorado. I went on a hike with my family when we went out to Wyoming over Thanksgiving to see my oldest son, and it was the best I'd felt in a while. So I'm kind of really hoping to get out there and do some stuff outside.
Sounds good. Anything on a larger scale or a smaller scale or medium scale or anything else?
Something I would like to do this summer with my youngest son is go to some summer concerts. I feel like even though stuff happened this last year, like COVID was kind of over, but it wasn't. Summer concert series, festivals really were not one of those things that came back, and I'm dying to go see some music outside.
What do you guys do? You see like classical, like rock? I'm assuming you're not taking him to Cannibal Corpse or Slayer.
No, he might like to go to that. Actually, he listens to all sorts of stuff. I'm really hoping the 8035 comes back with a good lineup. Maybe go down to Hinterland.
For those watching, 8035 is it's electronic music festival, right?
Yeah, I'd say kind of half electronic, half alternative.
And it's here in Des Moines. So,
and Hinterland is south of Des Moines, and it's more folk, I think I would say. Still has some alternative bands every once in a while, but it's definitely gone in the more country folk arena.
Sounds good.
So I'm also hoping to read some books this year. Like I read all the time.
What a nerd.
I don't know if it's adult onset ADHD or what, but I have a hard time getting through books. I've been listening more to books, and I've got a whole mess of books that I would like to get through.
So I'm really glad you said that. So I've read, so I love Isaac Asimov. And I've read I, Robot, Kaiser Steel, and the other two books in the Robot series, which I can't remember the names of those. And I was really obsessed with doing the full Isaac Asimov in chronology read,
Right.
But there's one book, Robots and Empire, which is sort of the bridge between the Robots trilogy and the Empire trilogy, which is not out on any audiobook. And Brandon turned me on to the idea. Yeah, it's not. It's not an audio. which is incredibly frustrating. But Brandon turned me on to the idea that there are some people that will read these books on YouTube. And there actually is somebody that has read Robots and Empire on YouTube. And now that I have YouTube Premium, because YouTube is great and their algorithm is great, right? We all love YouTube. And I think I'm finally going to get through that one and get into the Empire series. And I've already read some of the Foundation series, and I love the way Isaac Asimov writes, and he's got such an interesting writing style that I'm really looking forward to getting into those. And so I've been stuck on Robots and Empire for because I just never sit down to read it. Like I listen to audiobooks all the time. I probably listen to I don't know 20, 30 books a year or something like that, but I don't sit down and read them. I listen to them, and so I've been stuck on that
because you're constantly driving. But no, Isaac Asimov, I think, would be interesting to have a conversation about ethics.
Well, yeah, Isaac Asimov is really interesting. In fact, one of my philosophy courses, he wrote the introduction for, and he talks about synoptic philosophy, the idea of sort of expanding your understanding of the world in width, not necessarily depth. The idea of trying to understand a little bit of everything in society. And I think that that's a really important thing that everybody should try to do. And he sort of brings up the idea of, when he was in high school, he liked science and history, but then when he went to college, they said, no, you can't do that. You have to be science or history. And then when he goes postgraduate, it's like, what kind of science do you want to study? And then, microbiology, what kind of microbiology? And it's like this continued specialization, which specialization is really good for science and for a lot of things,
but
especially
also for scientists.
Right. But as far as I'm just saying, to be a well-rounded human being, you should try and know a little bit about as much as you possibly can. And I feel like that for Isaac Asimov, that was a really important thing. The idea of knowing at least a little bit about everything.
I think Robert Heinlein, has a great quote about that. An expert is someone who knows more and more about less and less.
So, it is good. Specialization definitely has its benefits, but I feel like as a person who is not, I'm not curing cancer or anything. And the best thing I can do is try to learn as much about as much as I can. I don't know, Brandon, what do you think about that? I feel like this is kind of a discussion that's right up your alley.
Well, it's definitely something I agree with. For me, I've never been able to stick to one specific thing. There's been times where I wished I could, there's been times where I wished I had stuck to one specific instrument when I was in school. When we were playing World of Warcraft, I wish I had stuck to one specific character and gotten, just all the things for that character, or whatever. But it's just not me. And one of the things that's been hardest to do for me as an adult is just go, I have to accept that not only do I have limitations, but they don't have to be limitations. My limitations could just be a thing I'm seeing as limitations. I enjoy learning a lot about a lot, and that should be okay.
One of the things that I enjoy on Audible is just grabbing random books that are sort of about things like so my two best finds on Audible. We should be sponsored by Audible for this freaking thing.
I agree.
Is Zero: History of a Dangerous Idea, which is basically just a history of the number zero. Because the number zero is not a rational number. It's not a number that makes sense outside of mathematics. All other numbers like 5, if you're in a sort of early tribal mankind situation, the difference between 5 fish and 6 fish, because 5 fish will feed your family and 6 fish won't. And those numbers make sense, but 0 doesn't. Like you wouldn't think of 0 fish. You just think, I don't have any fish. So 0 is this very strange sort of concept that comes along later on, later than all the other numbers. And the other one was a history of rabies, which again, I understand it's very sort of off the wall, but it was a really, really well-written book. And reading things like that, where it's something that you never had any contact with or any experience with, but you're like, well, this is an interesting thing. And now I can remember, because I'm getting older, of course, I read a whole book and now I can remember like 5 things from the book. And if I can remember those 5 things, that's something,
Nothing wrong with learning.
To that too, one of the things that I might put on a list is I want to get better at taking notes in some kind of a journal. I've had the idea many times over. I have tons of empty notebooks, but I realize that my brain is not going to hold everything. It's, especially as I get older. And I like the idea of what you're saying. If I could take like 5 main topics, 5 takeaways from any book I read, that's good. It'll help me remember something, help me give me some context to whatever the subject was about, but I'm going to have to write it down as a help to remember. So maybe
I'll tell you, in that vein, something that I've been doing. So I recently, and again, as an older person, recently, meaning over the last like 2 years or 3 years, I've gotten interested in reading presidential biographies. And the first couple of biographies that I read, I was attempting to try and remember all the things. Like, okay, I'm going to remember, who Washington was talking to at this point and who he was talking to at this point. And there was sort of a point where I had to be like, wait a minute, I'm not taking a test. I don't have to remember this stuff. It's all right for me to just sort of let this information wash over me, and whatever sticks and whatever doesn't. And I think that that's important, especially for people that are really into academics. I think sometimes they get too into trying to remember the facts and figures and dates, and remember that it's important just to take it in, and you understand that you're not going to remember it correctly. You're going to remember it, certain dates wrong or people wrong or whatever, but that's all right. You're taking in as much information as you can take in.
But there's nothing wrong with taking notes if that's something you want to do on your own.
No, absolutely. I'm just saying the most important thing is sort of enjoying yourself and taking in as much information as you can, while also not stressing too much about forgetting a date here and there.
Especially
like you said,
way of you listening to that kind of stuff to begin with.
Say again, Jim.
I was just saying, especially if stressing out about remembering everything is making you not enjoy what you're listening to. I mean, I think for me, listening to presidential biographies would be challenging enough to motivate myself to do without worrying about.
I'll tell you what, and I say this really in a genuine way. I think that Ron Chernow's biography of George Washington is really, really good. It is very fascinating. It is engaging. I think you learn about the problem with a lot of biographies, and I won't mention certain authors that I've sort of grown to hate in this regard. There are certain biographers that very much want to lionize their subjects, and I think those biographies are really boring and dumb, because they are just they are constantly trying to tell you how great this person was. And I felt like Ron Chernow's Washington biography, he is constantly pointing out Washington's failings, but it's also not a negative book about Washington. I mean, I think he loves Washington. I think he thinks Washington is a really great person. But I think that you almost get a better sense of somebody's greatness when you realize their faults. I think it makes it does the very rare thing of making Washington seem like a human being, which I think for most biographies, especially of the founding fathers, people have a tendency to make them all seem like, Superman combined with Lex Luthor, strength and intelligence. And it's like, that's not the case. They weren't. They were all people. So Brandon, let's move on to you. What do you like to see next year? Personal, professional, whatever.
Well, mine also has to do with reading. It's my favorite pastime. It's my only hobby that I've had lifelong. So I've done the 52 book challenge, 1 book a week for an entire year. I've done that before. I've completed that one. I've gone over it. But there's one called the Pop Sugar Reading List, which I see pop up every year, and it's got the most eclectic list, and it's kind of a challenge. Like it'll say like the 2022 one has like a book that takes place in a non-patriarchal society, a book that was published in 2022, a book that is going to be made into a movie this year, or some of the things in there. So I'm going to attempt to complete the Pop Sugar 2022 challenge this year.
It's cool.
So that'll be it for me. I have done the 52 one, and that was just completely off my own thing, which was fun, and it was fun to complete. But I like this kind of almost like scavenger hunt aspect of it, because it's necessarily going to introduce me to new authors and force me into different genres and try different things.
The one thing I'd have against the 52 challenge is it seems to me it really depends on the books you're picking. Because I mean, there's books you can read in a sitting, and like if you read The Rise and Fall of the Roman Empire, obviously that should not be a 1 week book. I mean, unless you're somebody who's reading like hundreds and thousands of pages a day. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's entirely up to you how you do the challenge. That's one of the things they talk about in the subreddit all the time. It's your challenge. It's just for your enjoyment. So it's entirely how you complete it on you. I'm one of those people. I work alone, so I could definitely do most of even the biggest books in a week if I did it on audiobook. Because I entirely work alone with headphones on. I don't have to pay attention to anybody else at all. So, I mean, I can get through like a 40-hour book if I want to. I can do it. So,
Jim, I'm curious, what is the most challenging book you've read in the last, I don't know, decade or two? Like a book that you found challenging to get through for better or worse?
I think one of the ones that I thought was, I've read it a couple times. And I don't know, maybe there's better examples, but it's what popping into my head is Foucault's Pendulum. I don't know the author's Umberto Eco. It's a real, I think it's considered a classic.
Densely philosophical.
Yeah, but it's hard to get into, and part of it is for me, I felt like my brain had to get used to the writing style because it's written originally in Italian, and there's something about the way it got translated and the syntax makes it hard to digest. And it's very eclectic subject matter in the book too, so it's kind of challenging, but I very much enjoyed the book.
Well, and Foucault is already kind of a challenge to understand in the first place. And then you add Umberto Eco, who's maybe one of the smartest guys in the 20th century, add to it.
Yep.
All right. So
conversely, I would like to add that one of the early books that I'm going to read on Audible to get rolling is not hard to get through. I'm going to pick whatever next murder bot book I can get a hold of. They're short.
Martha Wells.
Fun. No 3 laws of robotics, just a lot of murder. Good fun.
I went through the first one.
So I'm going to go real briefly for me. All the things I feel like Kale is going real profound on us, and I'm like talking about like movies I want to see, but I agree with everything Kale said. I agree with everything everybody says. For me personally, the one thing I've been looking forward to this year, and I've been trying to do this for a while, and I think I'm finally going to be able to get it out of the way next year. I go to a great number of distilleries. This year, I finally hit the 100th distillery visited and toured. And so next year, I've toured Kentucky many times, like lots of the distilleries down there. I've taken Brandon down once. I've taken Kale down once. We'll all go down someday, hopefully. The thing with Kentucky, though, is most of the distilleries in Kentucky are fairly centrally located in the state. But the state just to the south, Tennessee, has a vast number of distilleries also, and they are all over the damn place. So my goal is next year I will actually go to and complete the Tennessee Whiskey Trail and visit all like 32 distilleries that are in Tennessee. Here's hoping. And finally, I thought this would be interesting because I care about dumb pop culture things. I'm going to go through very quickly the Marvel / comic book movies coming out next year, and I just want everybody to give me a thumbs up or thumbs down. Is this something you're interested in seeing or something you're not interested in seeing? So January 20th, 2022, we have starring the one and only Jared Leto, Morbius. Is anybody interested in seeing Morbius? I have one
Don't know
thumbs
what
up. I
that
have one
is, and I
thumbs
don't care
down.
for Jared Leto. So
I have one so-so. I think I'm probably in the so-so camp. The CG doesn't look great. It's Michael Morbius. He's in so this is a Sony Marvel movie. So probably in the same vein as Venom, I would think.
Yeah, so for
Same
me, I've
company.
had a hard time getting through the first Venom movie. So I've not been super happy with this.
So Kale, did you like Maximum or I can't call it Maximum Carnage. They didn't call it that. Let There Be Carnage.
I wanted so bad to see Carnage for so long.
By the way, you can tell somebody's
And-
review when they start off with, "Did you like the movie?" And they're like, "I
loved it.
really
Look, I'm not
watched
I'm
it."
not gonna say whether it was good or bad. I'll let these guys judge it when they see it. I will say there were some interesting things that I wanted to see. I wanted to see what they would do with Carnage. Was I happy with what they did with Carnage? I mean, I'm not completely disappointed, but they could have been a lot more. But I think that the problem is it's such a visceral character that if they really let him do what you could get away with in comics, maybe, I mean, it would have been hard to get. I don't know what kind of rating you would give a movie with that kind of violence in it.
Yeah, but to be fair, the comic book Maximum Carnage doesn't actually show, like, it sort of does, but sort of doesn't. Like the violence is not, it's not as violent as you remember it. You know, the comic. And by the way, but the Maximum Carnage comic is so fucking bloated. Like that comic is like literally, I think 18 issues long. Jim, does that sound right to you?
Yeah.
I mean, it is way longer than it needed to be. And it involves like half the Marvel freaking universe in, like, they get Cloak and Dagger, like just all, it's just, yeah, it's a mess. I watched Venom, Let There Be Carnage, and I can tell you exactly what I said as I was walking out. I was like, sure. And that's my feeling on Let There Be Carnage. Sure.
Did you watch the Easter eggs?
Oh yeah, of course I did. I've forgotten them. I forgot them 20 minutes outside the theater. But yes, I watched them.
The Shang-Chi Easter eggs as well.
Yeah. No, Maximum, it's fine. Whatever. Okay. So March 4th, 2022, The Batman. I hear this is a character who apparently is his name is Bruce Wayne, and apparently he dresses up as a bat and goes out on the streets.
I'm so done with Batman.
I'll tell you what, I am firmly a maybe on this one because it's supposed to be very detective focused. I know Brandon, I think, was interested in that aspect of it. It's supposed to be more detective-y and less, Batman shooting machine guns at criminals. So, Jim, where are you at?
When they first announced it, I was like, why? Didn't we just got done with the fantastic Batman trilogy? Why are we recasting Batman, getting a new director? What is this all about? I will say, as time has gone on, I've gotten a little bit more excited about it. I think potentially it could be really good. I don't know. Also, I feel like my opinion of the main actor, Robert, as a Pattinson, has changed a little bit. I've watched Tenet a few times. I know you're not a big fan, but I thought he was fantastic in that movie. And
I haven't seen Tenet, to be honest. I don't know. Christopher Nolan, I have a hard time watching his movies, to be honest.
Well, if you've had a hard time watching his other movies, don't even bother with Tenet because I think you have to watch it like 3 times. So,
Brandon,
are
you thumbs up, thumbs down, or thumb sideways?
I think I'm a thumbs up, even though I was like really another Batman movie. But I suppose I'd rather watch a Batman movie every year than Aquaman. Why?
Brandon, are we thumbs up, thumbs down, thumb side?
I am thumbs down. I mean,
no, you're wrong. You told me you wanted a Batman that was detective oriented.
Yes, but who cares about Batman altogether? I mean, just be done. There's like 9 million other interesting characters. We talked more before about like a Buster Gold movie or something. Make something new, make something more interesting.
Did you say Buster Gold?
You
Yeah,
did.
isn't that his name? Booster Gold?
Booster
Whatever the hell his
Gold.
name is. Yeah.
I'll
Whatever.
show that Buster Gold a thing or two.
Come here, Buster.
Come here.
There's like 8 million characters to choose from. Grumbly dark guy. Who cares?
They could remake Dick Tracy.
May 6, 2022, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I could not be higher thumbs up on this. I cannot wait for this. This is going to be bananas, and I love it.
So can you tell me why? Because I feel like I haven't heard very much about it.
Because it's gonna be like the Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange explore the multiverse. Like, I don't need any more than that. Just like it's gonna be great.
I feel like I'm holding my breath, honestly, with everything in this next Marvel phase, because I just feel like I enjoyed the previous phases, and now they're rotating out most of the characters that like I'm a big Avengers fan, so like I love Thor, Iron Man, Captain America. I was all in on all that stuff. And now that they're rotating those characters out, I'm kind of holding my breath on what comes next. Like, are they going to keep rolling? Are they going to be able to turn crappy characters into great films like they did with Guardians of the Galaxy? Or are the wheels going to finally come off?
Brandon,
Well, they're all
up, down, or sideways on Multiverse of Madness?
I will probably go up on that one. I want to see more from the Scarlet Witch, pretty much always.
Go ahead, Kale. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I was going to say there were multiple classes of the Avengers, right? There was the original team up wasn't even really represented in that first Avengers cinematic universe, anyway. Yeah, I mean, like they're gonna keep adding those characters. They're gonna rotate them out.
Okay, so I'm going to go through a few of these kind of quick. A couple of these I think are kind of small, so we're just going to do thumbs up, thumbs down. DC League of Super Pets. Thumbs up or down?
I'm excited for me. It's like this, but I'm glad they're doing stuff with Super Pets. I think they're cool.
Brandon,
I don't even know what that is, but it's not Batman, so.
Thor: Love and Thunder.
Probably enough Thor too.
Fair enough.
Better than Dark World.
July 2022, Black Adam.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if I give a shit about, like, the funny thing is I liked Shazam. I thought Shazam was good. So I don't know. We'll see. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse 2. Big thumbs up on that one. The first one was really good. So sure, more. Brandon? Side? Got it. Okay. This is the one I think is going to be, this movie could be entirely shitty or really good. And that is The Flash, November next year. And I am very firmly to the side on that one because who knows?
Yeah. Yeah.
Really
Again,
curious.
it's slightly different. There's already been a TV show, but at least it's something different.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what they do.
I mean, they've gone through like 4 directors on this movie and like a bunch of different scripts. And it's like, it doesn't, but it's gonna have Michael Keaton Batman again. So that's something. Whether that's good or bad remains to be seen. Okay, this is a controversial one, and I'm interested. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
I liked the first one. I wonder how they're going to do it.
Yeah.
Like, was it filmed before he died?
No, he's out. He wasn't. No, his last work was on the What If, playing Black Panther Star-Lord. And this combined with Letitia Wright being somewhat vax averse, to put it lightly. I'm worried about this movie. I'm really worried about this movie. I think it could be, and I feel so bad because I feel like it's Ryan Coogler, right? I think. He did such a good job with that first movie. That first Black Panther movie is so good. And I feel like there's so many things that have happened that are completely outside of his, sphere of control. That I don't know. I have a lot of faith in him as a director, but everything else, like this movie, could be a disaster, and I hope it isn't.
Huh.
I thought they were going to give the reins.
Go ahead.
No, I said I thought they were going to give the reins to the sister. I thought she was going to kind of take over.
Well, nobody knows. They haven't really announced anything. And the thing is coming out next year, so they must be pretty well into filming on this thing. I don't know. And then finally, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, December of next year.
Yeah, I don't think I care.
I think I'm going side. I'm going side because the first Aquaman was fun. I think it was fun. It could be good.
A likable guy. He's a likable guy. Every character he's ever played was like, that guy's probably cool.
Yeah, I'm kind of.
But I don't remember a single thing about that movie.
Well, yeah, I don't either. I remember there was water and some sharks and people fought, I assume, but it was. I didn't dislike it.
Owlman played the evil brother.
Oh, that's right, he did, didn't he? I don't know. It's fine. Whatever.
Speaking of your CGI messy ending movie, that's would be number one on my list of like what the hell was this last 10 minutes of the movie?
You know what? That would be an interesting top five messiest CGI finales. Because I think there is some really stiff competition there. There is a whole bunch of movies with some really messy ass CGI endings. But I think we've turned this short episode into a slightly longer episode than we originally intended. And I think everybody wants to go and enjoy their holiday and enjoy their New Year. So I think we're going to, that too. Brandon, do you have any final anything to say to the people, recommendations for the new year?
I would say give the Pop Sugar 22 list a browse. It's got a really they've gotten very sophisticated in how they make it, and it's an interesting list. It's about 40 books long, so shorter than the 52 book list. I'll send Mike a copy so he can put it in the down there bit.
It'll be down here in the below area.
The down there.
Kale, any recommendations for people in the new year?
Find a passion, find a hobby, find an interest, find something that motivates you.
I think that's a pretty good recommendation. Jim, what do you got to say?
I have kind of a capitalist message to send out there, and that is, if there are things that are important to you that you wanted to see around in the future, spend your money on them this year. Because I think if I've been guilty, I haven't gone back to the movie theater. I've gone like once this year. I feel like this next year, that if I want movies to be around, I need to go movies. If I want concerts to be around, I need to go to concerts. So yeah, if I want comic book shows to be around, I need to go to comic book shows and spend some money. So, twist my arm. I'll be there. As long as it's safe.
Yes, go to Comic-Con. Go to Comic-Con, Jim. Go to Comic-Con.
I think if there's one piece of advice I have for the new year, it is this: on Twitter, on social media, or even in person. Remember, you don't have to have an opinion on everything, and you don't have to feel strongly. It's all right to not feel strongly about things. If you like a movie, you don't have to fight people who don't like the movie. If you don't like a movie, you don't have to fight people that like the movie. You can just say, I guess they like it and I don't. That's fine. Fight over important things. Don't fight over unimportant things.
Practice not explaining yourself. It's a good way of decarceration.
Stop liking things that I don't like.
I'll do my best. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Have a happy new year. Have a good time. Have a stress-free time as possible. Please like, subscribe, and have a good drink, and have a good day.
Bye, everybody.